after like 4 years of teaching, I got into a very toxic and difficult relationship. And it was an abusive relationship. And so when we ended it, I soon realized and found out that I was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And that's the moment that I think my life just went downhill.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Saints Unscripted. You're with Sabrina today, and I am going to interview Cecilia, who is video calling all the way from Chile. So that's really exciting. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into your story.
What can I tell you? I am a teacher. I'm a school teacher and I love English. I think
Wow.
that's the most important aspect about me and my personality, that I just love English. And I
Cool.
love to teach it as well.
And what age do you teach?
I'm currently working with third graders and seventh and eighth, but I can work with pretty much anybody from
Yeah.
kinder to anybody, really.
Oh, super cool.
Yeah,
How long have you been
yeah.
teaching? How many
Oh
years?
my God. It's been like 10 years.
Wow.
I feel old.
That's really cool though. Teachers are a really special kind of person. Tell me
Yeah, sure.
where does your conversion story start?
Well, I can give you a little background before
Yeah, of
I
course.
jump into the real story.
Uh-huh.
So, I was raised as a Catholic. We would go to church, not regularly, but my mom really liked everything about the church, like the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that, like looking back on it, and I can really understand why I love the Latter-day Saints so much now.
Yeah.
So when I was really young, I hated, like literally hated seeing the depiction of Jesus Christ on the cross with all the suffering, the
Mm.
blood and the nails and like all that stuff. It always get me out of the church for some reason. Like I wasn't ever connected or engaged. And so that was one thing. And then second thing, my mom would always pray to little figurines, like pictures, statues, you name it. She
Mm-hmm.
would always pray to those things. And I was just like, Mom, why are you praying to a thing? And she would get so upset. And she would be like, You're so disrespectful to the Lord.
Oh,
I was
interesting.
she was just obnoxious about it. So
Yeah.
those two things were like the two things that really got me when I was very young and I couldn't understand like completely.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone in my family is a Catholic up to this day. And so that's all I ever knew. My mom got me into a Catholic school all the way through high school. And then I got into university, also a Catholic one.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the opportunity to travel to the States and I studied one semester at Loyola University in Maryland,
Okay.
which is also a Catholic institution. So it's like everything was Catholic for me. That's all I ever knew.
Growing up, did you always go to church or did you ever not?
No, I just didn't like it. It
Yeah.
was
So
just so
if your
scary.
family went, you didn't?
Well, yeah, my mom would go alone.
Okay.
She would go on her own, and I would just chill at home.
Yeah. You just didn't want to always stare at Christ suffering.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm honest. I just
Yeah.
didn't like it. That was my life growing up, and then I started working as a teacher, mostly Catholic schools. And after like 4 years of teaching, I got into a very toxic and just difficult relationship.
Hmm.
And it was an abusive relationship. Sometimes we get into a situation, a relationship with someone, and we don't realize in the very moment what
Yeah.
we're going through until we look back on it.
Yeah.
But it was just a terrible relationship. And I ended it. And we had been together for 4 or 5 years. It was a pretty long one too. So
Mm-hmm.
it was emotional and sad and frustrating. And so when we ended it, I soon realized and found out that I was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And that's the moment that I think my life just went downhill. It was hard for me to realize that I was going to be a mom. It was very hard to, get in that position that I was going to be teaching someone, not as a teacher, but as a mom,
Yeah, and
and
all
being
alone.
responsible for that human and all on my own.
Yeah.
And I wasn't good with myself. Like, if I don't love myself, how am I gonna be supporting and loving with my own child? That was just so hard to even imagine.
Yeah.
And so it was just the hardest experience I could ever imagine happening to me.
Did
And
you
so
did
my
you
mom
have
was very supportive of
Okay,
it.
I was going to
Yes.
ask if you had a lot of support or any support, and so you have your mom. That's good. Keep going.
Yeah. My mom was very supportive. I was unsure if she would be supportive with me. I was so scared of telling her, even though I was, old enough to just do my life and do me. But I had to tell her, and I was terrified of telling her. And I just got home and sat down and said, I have something to tell you. And I was just crying so much.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm pregnant. And she said, really? That's excellent. Like, she was so happy about it, even though the
Wow,
situation
yeah.
wasn't the greatest.
Well, that's
Like,
helpful.
but look on the bright side of things. Look on the
Mhm.
bright side. You're having a child. She's going to be here, imagine, laughing and,
Yeah.
running around the house, and your life is going to change and for the better. And
Mm.
so that kind of like gave me hope, but not gonna lie, I started developing really, really negative thoughts and, slowly getting into a very tough depression.
Mhm.
My physical health was also in danger at that point. So I was working at a school that is a very privileged school. And like they teach in English everything, like everything's English. It's just a very wealthy school, and it was very demanding as a job, very
Mhm.
demanding. And I started having this like horrible headaches, throbbing pain in my head I couldn't handle. Like, I was teaching my kids and I would just stop. I couldn't do it. And I was just so worried that I was, probably getting some sort of tumor. I was just imagining the worst thing ever. And
Yeah.
so I saw different specialists, neurologists, you name it, everything. I tried everything and everyone. And then I ended up seeing the psychiatrist who told me, Your problems are here in your mind. It's your mental health that it's triggering all those physical reactions in you, and you have to take care of those things." And so I went on a sick leave for about 6 months, but it was hard, and it was getting harder and harder and harder. I developed suicidal thoughts. I just didn't see any meaning in life overall. I just felt that I didn't deserve love. I didn't ever feel loved by anybody besides my mom, of course, my family. But I never found that I deserved love. And I think that's why I accepted having this like abusive relationship to begin with. And so now I think my depression might have started even when I was a kid, probably. Because my dad was an alcoholic, I had just a lot of issues at home. But then having meds for depression and sleeping pills and all that, it wasn't doing it for me, to be honest. It was just a lot of drugs and a lot of anxiety. And I got really into coffee. I would drink coffee nonstop all day.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
yeah, like because I wasn't sleeping and I had to work and I had to get
Yeah.
things done and I needed energy somehow. One day, I had a terrible day, by the way. I wasn't supposed to be out that day, and I went to see someone. Wasn't a good idea.
Mm.
And it was pretty late at night. So I was on the metro station and got to like my street and walked. And I pray to God, please, God, help me. I need help. And I thought, oh, this was a really bad idea. I, I'm not supposed to be out at night. And so I got to the corner of my house, and there I saw these two missionaries standing there just chilling, like looking on their phones. I walked past by them. I ignored them completely.
Uh-huh.
And for some reason I can't explain and I can't even comprehend today, I turned around and I approached them. But someone, I believe it was God, just made me return. And so I asked them, like, hey, can I ask you a question? And it was in English, by the way,
Yeah.
because I noticed they were from the States.
Uh-huh.
And they told me, yeah, sure, tell us. And I asked them, why is it that life sucks so bad? And I bursted in the worst tears of my life. I cried so bad. And so the elder held my hand and he was like, oh, sister, I'm so sorry. Like, how can I help you? And so they walked me home. They offered me to come by the next day and chat about this. And honestly, I wasn't really expecting them to come. Like, I thought they wouldn't come.
Mm.
I don't know why. I just didn't think they would.
Yeah, now you know the missionaries always come.
I know. So when the elders came home, I didn't open my door. I know it sounds weird. I was just like, putting boundaries, if you
Yeah.
will,
Or baby steps
putting
too.
like a
Yeah.
shield. Yeah, baby steps,
Mm-hmm.
and just like having the shield, like protecting myself. Like, I'm not allowing you to come home and,
Mm-hmm.
teaching weird stuff. And so we have the most amazing um, lessons in that situation. They wouldn't mind it. They were fine with it. And it was pretty fun at the same time, so scary because I've never heard about the plan of salvation, never heard of premortal existence, never heard of the kingdoms of heaven. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Uh-huh. It's a lot.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was a lot to process.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing that I had ever heard about. So it was just difficult to understand. But I appreciated it because they did it in English and it was for me an opportunity to practice,
Mm-hmm.
to learn more. And so it was just a lot of fun. And we developed this friendship, the three of us. So the elder that held my hand that moment at night, he had very little time left on his mission. And it's funny because before he left, he said, you need to get baptized. The only way you'll get happiness is through Jesus Christ. Like, that's the everlasting happiness you're looking for. And I said, no, I am not getting baptized.
He knew.
If I he kind of knew, yeah. So Elder Porter left with that message, like, I'll see you at your baptism, but I wasn't getting baptized, right?
Yeah.
And then we kept the lessons with Elder Hoyt and his new companion. And so this one Saturday, we were in the church, and they decided to teach me about baptism again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was a little scared. And so Elder Hoyt told me, I am a little afraid of telling you this again, because I don't want to make it seem like we're pushing you into something you don't want to do.
Right.
But honestly, you're my friend, you're like my family, so that's what I want for you, the happiness you're looking for. And so he was literally crying telling me this. It was such an emotional, spiritual experience, not because of what he said, but what I felt. Like, I believe now that that was a spirit. But still, that didn't make me commit to getting baptized, but it kind of planted the seed,
Yeah.
And so I was really struggling with making a decision. And so I was on the metro one day going to my job, and I decided to read something, but I wasn't sure if I would continue reading front to back the Book of Mormon because it was just hard for me to engage with it. And
Mhm.
so I decided to randomly open a chapter and read it. Like I'm gonna ask God, because that's how the missionaries get everyone. Like you have to pray for it,
Yeah.
find the answer yourself. And
Mhm.
so I did, and I opened a random chapter and I got to Alma 32:16.
Yeah, I was hoping
And
that was it. That one's a good one.
yeah, so probably you can put it like down there so I don't have to
Uh-huh.
read it.
Yes, yes.
But it basically tells you that you're stubborn, hard, if you don't get baptized. Like you don't have to know everything. And I was
Mhm.
just getting into I have to understand everything. I have to learn everything. I have to comprehend every single thing before I commit. But in reality, it all that really mattered was what I felt and the faith I had. Like
Yeah.
faith is everything. But I still wasn't sure I wanted to get baptized, even though I knew that was an answer. I knew it. I was still just, thinking about all the Catholic background that I had growing up. My mom maybe would be upset or anything like that. And it was just so much for me to think, and I just cried thinking about it.
Mhm.
Crying and crying. And so I decided to think, you know what? I'm going to leave the church. Like I'm not going to try and be a
Oh,
member. And that made me really sad, and I cried even more. And I just couldn't make up my mind.
yeah.
And so I said, you know what? I'm going to watch a video. You have very good conference talks and
Mm.
like inspiring videos. So I watched this random one again. Everything is random here.
Yeah,
I found
you're
this,
just letting the Lord lead
yeah,
you.
I found this talk by President Nelson saying that one way to really know if you are talking to someone who is a true follower of Jesus Christ was if that person is loving and compassionate. And
Mhm.
I thought, hey, wait a minute. I've been talking to people that are so loving and compassionate. All the people that I've met at church, everyone's so welcoming, so nice to me. Like it
Yeah.
can't be fake. It has to be real.
Mm.
It can't be anything but the spirit. And so that's how I immediately knew, like immediately, like I didn't have any doubt. I need to get baptized. And I couldn't even wait. It was like 3 in the morning, and I sent a message to my friend Dane, who was already an RM,
Uh-huh.
and I said, "Hey, I'm getting baptized." He was so excited, and
Yeah.
then I told Elder Hoyt next day, and you couldn't believe his face when I told him, "Hey, I'm getting baptized," and he was just over the moon with
Yeah, of course.
the news.
Mhm.
And so I got baptized, and it was just the happiest experience I've ever had in my entire life. And then the next Sunday, because my baptism took place on a Saturday, so Sunday I was conferred the gift of the Holy Ghost. And now I think that it put me on the covenant path as a starting point for me. It's not the end of it, and that's
No.
just something that I've come to realize through
Yeah,
time.
you will always keep learning.
Yes, and I can tell you that when I started having lessons with the missionaries, I stopped taking antidepressants, sleeping pills. I was sleeping good. I was just excited about life, and I am so thrilled about what the future holds for me.
So I was just wondering, what would you say to the people watching who might relate to you, who might feel like they're sad at the moment, or just want to be inspired by your experience? What would you say?
Well, talk to the missionaries. Even though you think they may be crazy, they're just really cool people,
Yeah.
and they can teach you a lot of things. And I think one advice that I can give as well is that even though we get baptized and we get the gift of the Holy Ghost, we shouldn't take it for granted, if that makes sense, because we could easily lose it. And I think it's so important to stick with it to help us on our quest to find happiness, and we can easily push it away. And so it's important to like keep commandments and being a good person, you know, loving person, love people around you.
Thank you so much, Cecilia, for sharing your story and your heart. And if anyone has any questions for you, can they just write them in the comments of the video? And you can maybe check them out, maybe respond. But thank you again, and bye, everyone.
Bye.